Over the course of the next 10 weeks, we're going to ask and answer 10 questions. These questions and their answers come from a book by Rebecca McLaughlin called 10 Questions Every Teen Should Ask and Answer About Christianity. We'd encourage you to take a look at this book as it goes a little deeper into each of the questions we'll be posing. We'll look at topics like universalism, diversity, sexuality, the afterlife, and more. Our hope is that as we engage with these topics, we'll all see how faith in Jesus, it's not about blindly accepting religious tradition or dogma, but it's about thinking clearly, critically, and rationally about life's biggest questions and coming to the realization that Jesus is in fact the way, the truth, and the life. So let's start with our first big question. How can I live my best life now? How can I live my best life now? One of the biggest religious challenges for the average person is the disconnect between wanting a good life today and the apparent religious assertion that a truly good life can't be had until after we die. It's easy for us to feel confused and frustrated by religion's teaching that we have to wait for heaven until we can experience the quote, good life, when each of us just wants to experience it now. Now, I want to be clear about what I mean when I say the good life. I don't mean lots of money, an attractive sexual partner, or any of the other materialistic and superficial things we're told make up the good life. When I say the good life, I'm talking about the life we all actually want when we take the time to be honest with ourselves and evaluate what would be best. When I say the good life, I'm talking about a life of health, of contentment, joy, and peace no matter the circumstances. A type of life filled with love, laughter, and hope. Don't get me wrong, of course we want to have more money. Of course we want to be powerful and maybe even famous. Of course having those things sounds like a pretty good life. But if you're like me, then when you pause and take a deep breath, when you pause and think a little deeper, it doesn't take long to realize the life of the elite, the life of Hollywood and Wall Street, it's actually not that great. It's not sustainable, and none of those people seem to be very happy anyways. If you're like me, then the good life you actually want, when you really stop to think about it, is a life where you're healthy, a life where you help others more than you help yourself, a life where you love the people around you and forgive the people who've wronged you. I'm not sure about you, but that's the kind of life I really want. But the question still remains. If that's the best version of life, how can I live my best life now? The answer is following Jesus. By following Jesus. Now, I'm sure you probably saw that coming, but hear me out. According to surveys and empirical research, people who go to church weekly, one of the key habits of Jesus followers, are healthier and happier. The center, the core of following Jesus is to love God and love your neighbor. Well, research tells us that loving relationships are one of the most important indicators of long-term happiness and health. Psychology tells us that gratitude and forgiveness have biologically positive effects. Did you know that gratitude and forgiveness are at the center of what it means to follow Jesus? I could go on, but the point is this. When you put your faith in Jesus, when you choose to follow him, you don't just get your best life after you die, you can live your best life today. Following Jesus means you're not the most important person in the world anymore. When you choose to follow him, you're choosing to put him first and by extension, put others above yourself. Atheist psychologist Jonathan Haidt says this, just as plants need sun, water, and soil to thrive, people need love, work, and connection to something larger. Following Jesus gives us all these things. Following Jesus is the best way to live your best life today.